Today we're going to talk about one of the biggest journeys, maybe the biggest journey any of us can take. It's that trip from being the person the world expects you to be to becoming the person you actually are. We're digging into a kind of confidence that isn't about putting on a show. It's something real, something deep in your core. So let's get into it.
I mean, this quote just hits home, doesn't it? We've all felt that pressure, that feeling that you have to fit in, say the right things, and kind of tuck away the parts of yourself that you worry other people won't like. It really does feel like you're on a stage all the time, just playing a part for everybody else.
So let's just pause on that for a second and get really honest with yourself. What mask are you wearing? Which parts of you are you keeping under wraps? Just thinking about that. That's the real first step.
Okay, so this brings us right to our first big idea, the mask of approval. It's all about that massive conflict, right? The one between what everyone else expects of you and who you truly are.
And this is really the heart of that internal battle, isn't it? On one side, you've got all these outside forces pulling at you, the need to win approval, the pressure to just fit in. But on the other side, there's your genuine self, your truth, trying to break through. It's this constant tug of war, and man, it can be absolutely exhausting.
And this is so important. Here's the bottom line. You just can't feel strong while you're pretending. Every single moment you spend wearing that mask, you're chipping away at your own strength. You can't feel powerful or peaceful when you're hiding. It's just not sustainable in the long run.
All right, so if pretending is just a dead end, what's the alternative? Well, that's what this next part is all about, the authentic foundation. We're going to completely redefine where real confidence comes from.
So what are we talking about when we say authentic confidence? Well, it's not about getting applause or a bunch of likes on social media. It's a deep, internal shift. It's this quiet, powerful recognition that your own worth isn't up for debate. It's that turning point, the moment you realize that being you is way more important than getting everyone to like you.
Now, this all sounds pretty good, right? But the big question is, how do we actually get there? Well, this next part is all about that. It's about the really essential and, yes, sometimes really tough work of having the courage to look inward.
I absolutely love this quote because it totally reframes something we spend our lives trying to avoid, right? Discomfort. I mean, facing the things in your life that just aren't working, whether it's a job or a relationship, it's super uncomfortable. But here's the thing, that feeling isn't a stop sign. It's actually the door. It's the way in to making real change.
So how do you actually open that door? Well, it kind of boils down to three things. First, you got to face that discomfort head on. Acknowledge the fears, the insecurities, the old habits that are just holding you back. Second, you have to ask yourself some really honest questions. Not what your parents want or what society expects, but what do you truly want? And then third, you start to reshape your life. You begin to make choices, small ones at first, then bigger ones, that actually line up with your answers.
Okay, so you started to do that internal work, but then you step outside and you run right into this massive external challenge. And that's what we're talking about next, escaping the comparison trap.
Man, this is so true, especially now. Think about it. We live in a world where everyone posts their wins, their vacations, their promotions. It's all out there. But the struggles, the doubts, the failures, that stuff is almost always kept behind closed doors. And when you start comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel, well, it's just poison. It's a total recipe for disaster.
So let's just remember the truth of the journey, okay? Every single person you look up to, I promise you, has their own shadows and doubts. There's no such thing as being ahead or behind. We're all just walking our own unique path at our own pace, and your timing, whether it feels fast or slow, super clear or totally uncertain, is completely valid. When you really let that sink in, it's like a huge weight just lifts off your shoulders.
And what this all leads to is a really beautiful idea. You're not supposed to be the same person you were 5 years ago, or even last year. Growth is all about evolving. So when you allow yourself to change, to outgrow old ideas and embrace new ones, that's not being flaky. That's called maturity. And that's exactly where real confidence starts to bloom, when you trust the process instead of fighting it. So after all of this hard work, you get to the ultimate reward, the big payoff. We're calling it the freedom of becoming. This is what happens when you finally truly commit to just being yourself. The first thing that happens? You find peace. Seriously, when you finally stop that constant internal war between who you are and who you think you're supposed to be, what's left is this incredible sense of calm, a real, quiet peace.
And right on the heels of that peace comes this amazing feeling of freedom. You're suddenly free from the crushing weight of other people's expectations, free from constantly needing their approval. You're free from the performance.
And this is where it all comes together. Confidence stops being this thing you have to work at, something you have to put on like a jacket in the morning. It just becomes effortless. It's not an act anymore. It's just who you are. You're not performing. You're just living.
At the end of the day, this whole entire journey really just boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. Just stop trying so hard to be somebody you're not. Take all that energy you're spending on pretending and instead use it to start honoring the person you already are.
So, I want to leave you with this last question to think about. The world has enough copies. It doesn't need another imitation. What it really, truly needs is your originality, your unique self. So, the only question left is, what are you going to do with it?